Welcome to video 4 from chapter 14. We will look at the role of non-parental adults. So there's, for example, this would include, coaches, teachers, employers, clergy, or, a non-parental relative, like, an aunt or an uncle or perhaps a grandparent. Um, Non-parental adults often have very beneficial effects on children and teenagers. They may provide an adult point of view aside from the parents, so you get a different perspective on life, from somebody outside of your immediate family. They may offer social support, support for educational achievement, personal development, or trying new things, serve as a confidant or role model, or even offer financial support. When teens in one study, they asked teens and their parents to report on the strength of the teen's relationship with important people in the teen's life. So like the teens reported on like how important different adults were for them, and the parents estimated how important these different adults were. And what they found was that the parents underestimated the influence of extended family members. So they didn't think they were as important as they were, and the parents overestimated the influence of professionals like teachers and coaches. So they thought they were more important than they actually were to the teenagers. So this study showed that parents tend to think that professionals are more important, but the teens were saying that extended family members were more important to them. Okay, coaches are one form of non-parental adult. They may need training in order to create the best possible experiences for the young athletes, and this training is maybe something like formal training in the coach effectiveness training program, for example, or CET, and that's a very helpful program to teach coaches how to relate to different aged athletes, or even just general child development training, like in a course such as this, so that they can learn about different age categories and their abilities and their abilities at different ages, cognitively, physically, and things like that. One of the consequences of coaches not having any kind of good understanding of child development is that the coaches won't always understand how the children they work with are going to interpret what the coach is doing. I mean, some coaches don't expect younger children, for instance, to understand more than they actually will at a particular age, and or be capable of more than they are at a particular age. And so you have to have an understanding of the age categories you work with as a coach, and that is one of the and certainly child development training would help with that. Okay, so what this is basically saying is a coach doesn't just need to know their particular sport; they should have an understanding of development at different ages. Okay, natural mentors. First of all, mentors in general are non-parental adults who have a trusting emotional relationship with the young person and offer guidance intended to promote the young person's positive development. Some mentors are more formal mentors, like their job is to mentor a child, such as a big brother or big sister program. Others are natural mentors who become involved with the child spontaneously. So it's not part of they haven't been hired or chosen to become a mentor, but just naturally do so. Research shows that most young people do have a natural mentor, somebody that has taken an interest in them and that they feel comfortable with and respond to. Once again, this could be it could be a relative, or it could be one particular teacher at school, or one of your coaches from something, or somebody that teaches you certain lessons, and they just kind of take an active interest above and beyond what they have been are being paid to do. The natural mentor helps by monitoring and sanctioning the behavior of an adolescent and supports the support they provide helps the adolescent resist pressure from peers to engage in negative behaviors. For example, research has shown that natural mentors are very helpful to young single mothers. The study showed that these mothers experienced less depression and were more likely to stay in school if they had a mentor. And certainly that is a group that's in need of a supportive adult mentor, because it is it's very hard to be a young single mother, and to have a mentor certainly shows positive effects. Okay, and finally, mentorship programs. So, there are the natural mentors that just, want to help the youth. Then there are also programs that are developed for this. So many children and teens are in formal mentoring relationships. Once again, a couple of popular examples are, like the Big Brothers and Big Sisters programs. Those are mentorship programs. There's certainly others that exist as well. Such mentorship programs are most effective when they include intensive and ongoing training and support for the mentors, parent interaction between the mentors and the parents, clear guidelines for the duration of the relationship and how often the mentor and protege will meet. So, if it's a formal mentoring program, you need to have, some formal guidelines in place. You need to know how long it's going to go, so it doesn't just end abruptly, for instance. And you need to have a consistent timetable so that you're not doing more harm by the child, like wondering when's the mentor going to come, and so you obviously need dedicated mentors that don't miss appointments with a child, and if they're trained, it certainly helps. Research shows that these mentorship programs are more effective if the mentor also has a relationship with the parents. Also, longer mentorship programs are certainly more effective than short-term ones, so that there's time for, the relationship to build. It often takes, time before it really starts to benefit a child, and before they feel comfortable and ready to, to divulge things to the mentor. Overall, the research hasn't shown that these are, or at least in many cases, research has shown that these aren't always highly effective programs. These compared to natural mentors. In fact, let me just quote some statistics from one research study. They found that in 10% of the programs, the youth were worse off following the mentorship. In 1/3 of the programs, there was no impact on the youth. So 10% they're worse off, and 1/3 there's no impact. In the other cases, over half of the cases, they found that the programs typically only have a small effect on the youth. So not the research doesn't show great benefit. It's over half of them that there's a small positive effect, but there is possibilities, in that it will have no effect or even a detrimental effect in cases where the mentors are not well trained or responsible, or keep a relationship with the parents. Okay, and that will conclude chapter 14. 15.